What is up, Pyromaniacs? Pyrostasis here, and today we're back in the world of real life, and we're going to be taking a look at some hardware. This is kind of a new thing for my channel, but everybody's got hardware that they use, and the guys over at Apacer were nice enough to send me one of their 240 gig SSDs to take a look at, and so far I'm kind of impressed with it and enjoying it. Unfortunately, I did kind of maul the box a little bit opening it up, so it's a little beat up here, so I can't show you the pretty box as nice as it was supposed to be. But I didn't screw up the nice case that it comes in here, which is kind of cool. And the nice thing about this SSD drive is it's dual interface, which means you can hook it up either with USB 3.1, which I believe is backwards compatible to USB 3.0, or you can hook it up with Sata, whichever you prefer. And if you're like me, you're thinking, if I hook it up with USB, it's going to suck balls. Actually, kind of surprised me that it's as good as it is. Now, obviously, it shouldn't be as good as Sata. I haven't done any benchmarking with that yet, but with the USB, I was kind of surprised at how well it performed. Now, before we get into the drive, I did want to show you guys some of the swag they sent me. When I got this, at first, I thought this was a toilet seat cover for, like, a midget maybe, but I believe it's one of those like neck resting pad thingies like that, kind of cool. It's comfy. I will say that. We've got that. I guess I'll sit on the floor. They sent me a shirt, and I'm noticing a trend here. There we go. Here is the shirt. Now the shirt says it's an extra large. I'm thinking maybe an extra large puppy or something like that, because I don't know. Maybe this is what normal people's shirts are like. This would probably cover. I mean, it will cover my body as long as I don't have to stand up or move. It's kind of like a leaf that you would put over your body. But the design on it is really cool. You got that right there, and then you got the front right here. So cool thing is it fits JJ, so JJ will wear that. Unfortunately, it won't fit me for probably ever. They also gave me one of those cool little things that you put on like your travel luggage when you go, off in the wild and leave your house. It's got a nice little durable ring on it. I don't know what this would be called. It's like a really hard durable plastic, but there's the back logo on that. Looks nice, and then a place for you to put your name, address, and stuff like that, so people can't steal your stuff. And then finally, they got a nice little lanyard here. There you go. Again, with the Apacer logo and cool little sparkly backgrounds on it. And oddly enough, it's got two little hooks on it. Now, I don't use lanyards usually. So, this one's the standard little hook thing. You just push the hook in and you can do that. But this one right here is like kind of interesting because you push these in and it pulls out. And then oh God, there we go. That's back in. I've just never seen one with two. So kind of cool. I'm not sure why you would have two. I'm sure there's a reason. Maybe one's like a keychain. I don't know. So that's the swag that they sent me. There we go. I do want to mention they did provide the hardware to me for free, but I was not paid for the spotlight. So anything I say is obviously my opinion. But some people could say that because I got the product for free, that might influence my opinion. I don't know. I'll let your mileage. You can decide on that one, and your mileage may vary. For me personally, if the product sucks, I'm going to say it sucks, regardless of whether it's free. So far, I'm liking it, though. All right, so let's talk about the actual drive. That's why you're here. All right, so here's the drive itself. Pretty standard looking little SATA drive. I do like the little, I don't know if you guys can see that very well. They've got this cool little graphical embossing on it. There's not actually like lines cut into it, but it does have some kind of setup on it. Here's the other side right there. For those of you guys who are curious, it's a 240 gig. I don't know if it's going to focus on that or not. Yeah, it's not focusing. Oh well. It's got a little rubber protector up here. I'm assuming you're supposed to put this on for when you go around and use the USB side. That's your SATA hookups. You've got your power and your SATA connection. And then right over here, you've got your USB 3.0 connection. Now, this is a different kind of port. Does it say what kind of port it is on here? Type C. It's a Type C port. I'd never heard of USB 3.1 really. I knew of USB 3.0. But apparently both my laptop and my PC have USB 3.1, which was a shock to me. This is the Type-C connector, which you hook in with the standard. You get your USB on one side and your Type-C on the other. Now, the cool thing about the Type-C is you can connect it either way. So that's connected. I pull it out. I flip it around. Put it back in the hole if I can get it there. That's what she said. And it's connected again. So you can connect it either way. Now, I can see this being used a lot for people who do like camcorders, video, photography, things along those lines that need a little bit more space than maybe an SD card might have. And then you just bring it home and plug it in. The problem that I see with that is, for me personally, like I would love to be able to hook this into my computer and record on my main and then transfer it over to the to my secondary computer. The problem that you run into is not everybody's going to want to pop the case in their PC, unplug two cables, move it over, plug it back in, pop it off, open up the case, plug it back in, etc., etc. So I think the market for it might be a little niche, but your mileage may vary. Either way, let's look at the actual connection speeds, because that's kind of what shocked me. So let me get that pulled up for you guys. All right, so we're back on the PC. I'm going to fire up DxStory. Now, oh boy, there it goes. I am going to show you guys two different speed tests here. Now, keep in mind, I am not necessarily a hardcore hardware guru. I do know a decent amount of, about hardware, but, I don't have a very strenuous benchmarking setup that I do for hardware, because I usually don't necessarily do hardware. I'm not against doing hardware, and obviously if I get the opportunity again in the future, I would love to do more of these. But my tests may not be as exhaustive as maybe Tom's Hardware might be, or some of the other companies out there. But I did do two different benchmarks. Now, I started off doing DxStory. Now, this is the recording software that I use. You can see that we've got a couple different options here. This is my D drive, which is a 10,000 RPM external USB drive. You can see it usually pulls about 167 megs a second. This is my internal Evo Pro Samsung. It's a 850 Pro. Very nice. Love it. And I've been using that as my gaming drive. And then I write to actually, this is my internal, my 10,000 internal drive. Now, to show you guys how DxStory benchmarks, you set it up for how much you want it to run. In this case, we're writing, I think it's a little over a gig, I think it is. And you can kind of see, actually, no, it's about 10 megs. You can see, well, no, that's not even right. I guess that is a gig. Yeah, 10 gigs. Either way, you can see that the benchmark works. The problem with it is this benchmark isn't always accurate. You can see last time I ran the benchmark, we got 167 megabytes a second. Right now I'm running the benchmark and we're pulling it around 175. The issue that I'm running into with some of the SSDs is it seems like sometimes the numbers are really weird. So for instance, when I run it on my C drive, which I'll show you guys here in a minute, that's good enough test. You guys can kind of see how that goes. So that's 10,000 megabytes. Not quite completely run, but you can see we bumped that up to 173. This is the Evo Pro. This is the 850 512 meg or 500 meg Evo Pro. If we run this, you can see it's pulling at about, initially it pulls at almost 500. Then it kind of drops down. And I've seen it pull back up, and then I've seen it drop down. So I think this benchmark is not very fair. And that's why I'm not wanting to use it, because it doesn't seem, I'm not going to be using this as my primary benchmark. However, I just want to run it so you guys can see both of these drives are having to put up with the garbage that this benchmark is doing. And you can see that with this benchmark, which is my recording software, they run almost about the same. And right here, you can see that this is through USB, by the way. This is USB 3.1 for this one and Sata for the other. You can actually see that the USB 3.1 is outperforming to an extent, and that's and I use that word very hesitantly, the Evo through USB, and it's not accurate, but you can see at least with the program, it was competitive. This one spiked up to almost 500, settled down for 400, and then slowly dropped. This one pulled about 300 to 380. So for the second half of this benchmark, I wanted to use an actual hard drive benchmarking utility. Now, keep in mind, I am not exactly a hardware guru when it comes to benchmarking. So this is amateur work, and some of you guys may have issues with the way I did this, but I wanted to be as fair as possible. So I tested it with something that I use regularly, which is the DX Story and its disk writing capabilities. And then I used ATTO Disk Benchmark, which was a tool or a utility recommended from Tom's Hardware. So there were better benchmarking utilities out there, but all of them, they cost money and I'm cheap. So it is what it is. So this is the best free utility that I could find off the top of my head. All right, so first off, in the top left-hand corner, you're going to see this right here is the benchmark for a normal hard drive. It's garbage, it's slow, caps out at about 185 megabytes a second. And I think I don't remember if it's a 7,500 RPM Western Digital or if it's a 10,000 RPM. It's somewhere in that neighborhood. So it's, as far as platter drives go, it's pretty good. That's what that used to be the best back in the day. Then next, you've got the Apacer drives. Now, there's going to be two different benchmarks here. The one on top is going to be the USB connection. It caps out at the top end at 436 megabytes a second, which is pretty good. That's pretty damn fast. The one below that is going to be the Sata connection. So top is USB, bottom is the Sata. I'm kind of shocked, actually, because I'm old school. I've been using computers since ISA and, the old school shit. And the thought that a USB connection would be faster than SATA I don't know, it just melts my mind. It just doesn't make sense. But it does look like the Apacer drive is, at least on my benchmarks, is pulling better as a Type-C connection on USB 3.1. Now, if you connect with USB 3.0 or 2.0, obviously your performance is not going to be anywhere near as good, but that 3.1 standard with the Type-C connector is blazingly fast. So for me personally, previously when I was talking about this, I think I made the mention on that I didn't want to go through the hassle of hooking it up to like an external recording device and then having to put it into SATA inside the computer itself for a better speed and a better connection, and then pulling it out and moving it over to my laptop. Well, now after I've seen the benchmarks, it's like, well, shit, why would I even do that? I'll just leave it as an external USB drive, and then I can move it over to my, my PC and back and forth between my PC and my laptop with no problem, because I'm actually getting better performance with the USB connection. So, if you're looking for a lightning fast external hard drive, then this is definitely the one you want to get. My only question now would be, is there a way you could hook it up with USB to maybe get RAID level performance? Like, slap 4 of these monstrosities, put them in somehow in a USB external RAID array. I mean, there's a part of me that's like, dude, why would you want to do that? You're running the risk of, breaking the space-time continuum. It's just not meant to do that way. But at the same time, it's like, there's a part of me that's like, for $400, because keep in mind, this drive is only $99 right now. So $99.99, you can get it at Newegg.com, cheap as hell for, 240 gigs. So if you were to get 4 of these suckers and put them maybe in some kind of striped RAID array, that's, let's see, what is that for? That's 800 and 960. It's almost a terabyte for $400. Not too shabby. Not only that, but with the connection rate at that point and with a striped setup, assuming you could do that, you would be doing 436 megabytes a second times 4. That's like 1.6 gigabytes of transfer rate. I mean, it's disgusting. But, the inner nerd in me is like, we can build it. We have the technology. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It totally changed my thoughts on how I wanted to use this drive. So, the evil scientist inside of me is now up to thinking. So now on the screen on the far right, you're going to see the Evo. Now this is the Samsung Evo 850 Pro. So that's their top end, or at least it was their top end. I'm not sure if it still is. It's their top end SSD. It runs, I think it's $250 for the 500 gig or the 512 gig, which is the one I've got. So it may not be a fair comparison there because obviously, Apacer's $99. This was $250. Granted, they're different sizes. I think the equivalent version on Samsung is like $170, $180, maybe $150, depending on where you find it. So, It's $50 more expensive on the same size and $150 more expensive for the bigger one. I'm not sure what Apacer is going to be selling their 500 gig, 480 gig, right around their size. So we'd have to see. So you just have to kind of gauge that. So yes, if you want to invest a little bit money, you're going to do a little bit better with the Samsung Evo. But if you're kind of like me and you're broke as hell, Apacer is a pretty damn good bargain buy. So we're looking at 436 megabytes a second on USB 3 with it, and then what was it with the Evo? You're looking at 430. Well, that's I ran 2 tests on this one, and on the last test, the Samsung Evo for some reason screwed up. So we're looking at 529 on the benchmark that I'm reading right now versus 436. So it's a little over 100 megabytes a second faster in SATA on the Evo than the USB Type-C connector. So that adds up. That adds up. But like I said, with the Evo, you're not getting the functionality of the external. It's only a SATA at that point, which is fine because for most people that's good. But if you want that extra hookup, if you want to be able to use the Type-C, if you want to be able to throw it into a computer when you need to, you have that option. So my only concern here, and I think I said earlier in the video, I was a little concerned that you would have to constantly swap it back and forth. My only concern now with the Apacer drive is if it works better with USB, why would I put it in SATA? Why would I want to? And I guess the answer for that, the simple reason would be one, it's, less prone for damage. You're not going to, if it's inside your tower, you're not going to step on it. You're not going to spill something on it. It's not going to get banged around. It's not going to fall off your desk. It's going to be safer. But at the same time, you're losing about 60 megabytes a second, 70 megabytes a second doing it that way. So I don't know. I can see reasoning for both ways. So that being said, you can pick up this drive, $99.99 on Newegg.com right now. I don't know when they're going to start selling the 480 or 500 gig because I couldn't find that on Newegg. So definitely interested in seeing that. And now I, of course, have to go look up if there's a way to do a RAID array with USB Type-C, because if I can, then I have to build my evil RAID array monstrosity that's in my head. So I'll have to get my hair dyed, spiked up, get a white lab coat, and, have a maniacal evil laugh. It'll be perfect. So anyways, guys, that's my review and my unboxing of the Apacer drive. Like I said, I think it's great for the price point that it's at. It's cheap as hell. It performs very well, and I'm very thankful that Apacer gave me one to review and to try out. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Are you interested in this? Do you like the functionality of having it as SATA and as a Type-C connector? And more importantly, how would you use this? What would work well for you? Just because it works one way for me doesn't mean one of you guys doesn't have some weird setup that it might work even better for you, and I'd love to hear that. Links in the video description below. One will go to Newegg, one will go to Apacer's website, one where you can buy the product, and one where you can get more information on Apacer and their line of gaming products if you're interested. As always, please slap that like button if you like this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next clip.